a Wikividi Documentaries production. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy. Kim.com. Kim.com, also known as Kimball and Kim Tim Jim Vester, is a German-Finnish internet entrepreneur and political activist who resides in Auckland, New Zealand. He first rose to fame in Germany in the 1990s as an internet entrepreneur. .com is the founder of now-defunct file hosting service Mega Upload. Earlier, he achieved notoriety in Germany as a teen hacker who received a 2-year suspended sentence for selling identities that he had siphoned from telephone operators' client database. Since the closure of Mega Upload, he has been accused of criminal copyright infringement and other charges, such as money laundering, racketeering and wire fraud, by the U.S. Department of Justice. On the 20th of February 2017, a New Zealand court ruled that .com, as well as co-accused Matthias Ortmann, Bram van der Kolk and Carter Edwards, could be extradited to the U.S. on fraud charges related to Mega Upload. .com denies any wrongdoing and has accused U.S. authorities of pursuing a vendetta against him on behalf of politically influential Hollywood studios. His lawyer said that he would appeal the decision. In 2013, .com launched another cloud storage service called Mega, although he later severed all ties with the service in 2015. Mega uses encryption to prevent government or third-party spies from invading users' privacy. He also started and funded the Internet Party. They contested the 2014 New Zealand elections under an electoral alliance with the Mana movement, but failed to win any seats. Personal life. .com was born Kim Schmitz in Kiel, West Germany. His mother was Finnish, so he holds a Finnish passport, and he has siblings in Finland. His father was German. He has been called one of the world's largest tech entrepreneurs. He changed his surname to .com in 2005, apparently in homage to the stock market bubble that made him a millionaire. At the time, he was living in Hong Kong, where he set up Mega Upload. Prior to his arrest in New Zealand, he enjoyed a luxurious life. In 2001, his main source of income was a company called Kimvestor, which he valued at €200 million. He is known for spending his money on expensive cars and boats. On one occasion he spent $1 million chartering a 240-foot luxury yacht which he moored in Monte Carlo harbor during the 2000 Monaco Formula One Grand Prix, and threw lavish parties for guests including Prince Rainier of Monaco. According to U.S. officials, he owned at least 18 luxury cars including a pink 1959 Cadillac and 3 cars with vanity license plates that read Hacker, Mafia, and Stoned. He has taken part in the Gumball 3000 International Road Rally, in 2001 in his Mercedes Brabus SV12 megacar, and in 2004, in an interview on Belgium television, he claimed that in Morocco a car was blocking him and he had to bump him off the road. Nothing happened to him. He claims he subsequently found out it was the chief of police in a civilian car. Despite his flamboyant image, he is a teetotaler. He was granted permanent residence in New Zealand on the 29th of November 2010. At the time his residency application was being considered, .com had made charitable contributions in New Zealand and was planning a huge fireworks show for the city of Auckland at a cost of $600,000 New Zealand dollars. He leased a $30 million New Zealand dollar mansion at Coatesville, in the electorate of John Key near Auckland, owned by Richard and Ruth Bradley, the British founders of Crisco, and considered one of the most expensive homes in the country. He wanted to buy the mansion when the lease expired. Before his arrest in New Zealand, he was the world's #1 ranked Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 player out of more than 15 million online players. On the 23rd of January 2012, he lost the position and dropped to number 2. .com married Mona Verga, whom he described as his soulmate and the love of his life on the 10th of July 2009. He became the father of twin girls when Verga gave birth in Auckland a month after he was released on bail from Mount Eden prison. On the 17th of May 2014, .com announced on Twitter that he was separated from his wife Mona and was filing for divorce. 4 days earlier, Mona had left her directorship positions in the .com family's companies. In November 2017, .com announced he would marry his fiancée, Elizabeth Donnelly, on the 20th of January 2018, the anniversary of the raid during which he was arrested. .com is 21 years older than Donnelly. They had been dating for 2 years and in 2017 moved to Queenstown to live. Germany. As a teenager, Schmitz acquired a reputation in his native Germany after claiming to have bypassed the security of NASA, the Pentagon, and Citibank under the name of Kimball, based on the character of Dr. Richard Kimball in the long-running television program The Fugitive. He also claimed to have hacked corporate PBX systems in the United States and said he was selling the access codes at $200 each, bragging that, "Every PBX is an open door to me." In 1994, he was arrested by German police for trafficking in stolen phone calling card numbers. He was held in custody for a month, released and arrested again on additional hacking charges shortly afterwards. He was eventually convicted of 11 counts of computer fraud, 10 counts of data espionage, and an assortment of other charges. He received a 2-year suspended sentence, because he was underage at the time the crimes were committed. The judge in the case said the court viewed his actions as youthful foolishness. In 2001, Schmitz bought €375,000 worth of shares of the nearly bankrupt company LetsBuy.com and subsequently announced his intention to invest €50 million in the company. The announcement caused the share value of LetsBuy.com to jump and Schmitz cashed out, making a profit of €1.5 million. One commentator suggested that Schmitz may have been ignorant of the legal ramifications of what he had done, since insider trading was not made a crime in Germany until 1995, and until 2002 prosecutors also had to prove the accused had criminal intent. Thailand. .com moved to Thailand to avoid investigation, where he was subsequently arrested on behalf of German authorities. In response, he allegedly pretended to kill himself online, posting a message on his website that from now on he wished to be known as His Royal Highness King Kimball I, ruler of the Kimpire. He was deported back to Germany, where he pleaded guilty to embezzlement in November 2003 and, after 5 months in jail awaiting trial, again received a suspended sentence, this time of 20 months. After avoiding a prison sentence for a second time, he left Germany and moved to Hong Kong in late 2003. Hong Kong. .com found Hong Kong to his liking and registered Kimpire Limited in December 2003. Soon after moving there, he set up a network of interlinked companies, including Trendax, which he claimed was an artificial intelligence-driven hedge fund that delivered an annual return of at least 25%. However, Trendax was never registered with Hong Kong's Securities and Futures Commission, and the company was legally not allowed to accept investments or to conduct trades. After moving to New Zealand, .com was convicted for failing to disclose his shareholding to the Securities and Futures Commission, and was fined $8,000 Hong Kong dollars. Moved to New Zealand. While living in Hong Kong, .com visited New Zealand for 10 days in December 2008 and again for 2 months from August 2009. On his 2009 visit, he bought 12 cars, valued at $3.2 million, and leased a helicopter on a standby basis. He applied for residency and received it in November 2010. Immigration New Zealand made its decision on his application after officials used a special direction to waive good character requirements. Warwick Tuck, head of Immigration New Zealand, said that New Zealand granted .com residency under the Investor Plus category, which allows people to gain residency if they invest $10 million in New Zealand. It was anticipated that .com would contribute to New Zealand through investment, consumption and philanthropic activities. He has given $50,000 to the Mayoral Fund following the Christchurch earthquake, another $50,000 to a rugby player who was left in a wheelchair after an on-field injury, and funded a $600,000 fireworks display in Auckland Harbour. Mr. Tuck says .com disclosed his previous convictions and these had been considered. They occurred more than 16 years earlier and did not involve harming anyone. .com also told Immigration New Zealand his convictions had been erased from his record under Germany's clean slate legislation. Despite granting him residency, Immigration New Zealand expressed concern that their decision might attract criticism that they had allowed .com to buy his way into the country, and officials tried to keep it secret. Officials red-flagged his application, We are requesting that this application be kept as confidential as possible to avoid further media speculation or attention. .com's residency status subsequently became the subject of intense media speculation when it came to light that Auckland Mayor John Banks had become involved, and that New Zealand's intelligence services had illegally spied on him, which they were not allowed to do, because he had residency. Immigration New Zealand officers judged .com's convictions in Hong Kong too minor to consider deporting him. In October 2014, it became public that on the 10th of September 2009, .com had been caught driving at 149 km per hour in a 50 km per hour zone. He pleaded guilty to a charge of dangerous driving, and on the 14th of September 2009, was convicted under his former name of Kim Schmitz. The court fined him $500 and $130 court costs, and banned him from driving for 6 months. On his residency application of 3 June 2010, he answered, "No," to the question, "Have you been convicted of an offence committed in the last 5 years involving dangerous driving?" Immigration New Zealand said it was looking into the matter, which raises the possibility that .com could be deported. Involvement with Auckland Mayor John Banks. John Banks met .com when he was mayor of Auckland. He asked .com for help putting on a fireworks display in the city's harbour. Banks later attended a New Year's Eve party thrown by .com at the city centre apartment of now bankrupt property developer David Henderson. He said it provided a great view of the fireworks display detonated over the Waitemata harbour. Banks said he offered advice to the millionaire on how to apply for overseas investment offers permission to buy the Coatesville mansion. .com had been renting since coming to New Zealand. On the 28th of April 2012, .com revealed he also donated $50,000 to John Banks' mayoralty campaign in 2010, and that Banks asked him to split the donation in two, allowing the Banks campaign to claim them as anonymous. In 2014, Banks was found guilty of filing a false electoral return, with evidence from .com playing a major part in the case. Among .com's revelations was a phone call from Banks, thanking him for the contribution. .com subsequently recorded a song titled Amnesia, which mocks John Banks' inability to remember the $50,000 donation. A poll in October 2012 found the New Zealand public had a more favourable view of Kim.com than of Banks. Mega Upload arrest and extradition proceedings. In February 2003, at the same time he registered Trendax, .com set up another company called Data Protect Limited, but changed the name to Mega Upload in 2005. Mega Upload was a file hosting and sharing online service in which users could share links to files for viewing or editing. In 10 Facts About the Mega Upload Scandal, .com describes the company like this: Mega Upload is a provider of cloud storage services. The company's primary website, megaupload.com, offered a popular internet-based storage platform for customers, who ranged from large businesses to individuals. This storage platform allowed its users to store files in the internet cloud and to use, if needed, online storage space and bandwidth. The company was successful. However, millions of people from across the globe used Mega Upload to store and access copies of TV shows, feature films, songs, porn, and software. Eventually it had over 150 employees, $175 million revenues, and 50 million daily visitors. At its peak, Mega Upload was estimated to be the 13th most popular site on the internet and responsible for 4% of all internet traffic. On the 5th of January 2012, indictments were filed in Virginia in the United States against .com and other company executives with crimes including racketeering, conspiring to commit copyright infringement, and conspiring to commit money laundering. 2 weeks later, Kim.com, Finn Potato, Matthias Ortman and Bram van der Kolk were arrested in Coatesville, Auckland, New Zealand, by New Zealand police, in an armed raid on .com's house involving 76 officers and 2 helicopters. Assets worth $17 million were seized, including 18 luxury cars, giant screen TVs and works of art. At the same time, .com's mother had her car and a list of other items purchased by her son seized by tactical police in Germany. .com's bank accounts were frozen, denying him access to $175 million in cash, the contents of 64 bank accounts worldwide, including BNZ and Kiwi bank accounts in New Zealand, government bonds and money from numerous PayPal accounts. .com was remanded to Mount Eden Prison. He subsequently reported, "The first night I didn't have a blanket, soap, toothpaste or toilet paper. They didn't provide us with the basic things. Every 2 hours, they would wake me up. I was deprived of sleep." I wrote a complaint. "I said, this is torture, this is sleep deprivation." He said he was treated like a convicted criminal and was stunned to be locked up in prison over claims of criminal copyright infringements when accused murderers were bailed to await trial. On the 22nd of February, North Shore District Court Judge Nevin Dawson overturned previous rulings and released .com on bail. The judge considered there was no longer a significant risk that .com would flee the country as all of his assets had been seized by this time. No new assets or bank accounts had been identified, and he had every reason to stay to be with his family and fight to keep his assets. Brought to you by Wikividi Documentaries. Would you like to know more?